Breaking news headlines sometimes sound almost too shocking to believe. Imagine turning on the television and hearing, a joint Iran-Qatar attack on Israel destroys an IDF headquarters in Ashdod. Even if such a headline is hypothetical, it immediately captures the world's attention. Why? Because it touches on one of the most sensitive and dangerous fault lines in modern geopolitics: the rivalry between Israel and Iran. The complex role of Qatar and the possibility of regional escalation. In this video, we will take a deep dive into this scenario. We will explore why Ashdod is significant, why Iran and Qatar might be linked in such a report, how Israel would defend and respond, the potential reactions from the wider Middle East and global powers, and finally, what lessons we can draw about the fragile state of peace in the region. Ashdod is not just another city in Israel. It is one of the country's largest urban centers and one of its most important seaports. Located along the Mediterranean coast, it serves as a vital artery for trade, energy imports, and military logistics. The mention of an IDF headquarters in Ashdod symbolizes more than just a building it represents. Israel's sense of security along its southern and coastal frontiers. If such a site were struck, the shockwaves would not only be physical, but deeply psychological, sending a message that even Israel's strong defenses are not impenetrable. For decades, Israel has invested heavily in layered defense systems. Iron Dome to intercept short-range rockets, aero systems for long-range ballistic missiles, but no system is perfect. And the mere idea that a strike could succeed highlights the vulnerability of even the strongest military power. Iran's rivalry with Israel is well documented and stretches back decades. Iran views Israel as a geopolitical adversary, while Israel considers Iran's nuclear ambitions and regional influence as an existential threat. For years, Iran has largely relied on proxy groups such as Hezbollah in Lebanon, or militias in Syria and Iraq to project power without directly risking confrontation. So, what would it mean if Iran were directly involved in a strike on Israeli soil? It would be a game changer. It would mark a departure from indirect confrontation toward open conflict, a move that could easily spiral into a regional war. Qatar, on the other hand, has always occupied a unique position in Middle Eastern politics. It is home to a major U.S. military base, hosts international diplomacy, and invests in global media networks. At the same time, Qatar has provided support, financial, political, and humanitarian to groups and movements that are not always aligned with Israeli or Western interests. So why might Qatar be linked in this kind of scenario? There are a few possibilities. Financial channels that may indirectly support hostile groups, diplomatic alignments that occasionally put it at odds with Israel, or perhaps simply the fog of war, where accusations spread faster than verified facts. If Qatar were ever perceived as joining Iran in a direct confrontation with Israel, it would represent a dramatic shift away from its careful balancing act. Modern warfare has evolved dramatically in the last 2 decades. A joint Iran-Qatar strike, if it ever occurred, would not necessarily involve traditional ground forces. Instead, it would likely rely on ballistic missiles with precision guidance, drone swarms capable of overwhelming air defenses, cyber warfare targeting command centers and communication networks, and coordinated timing designed to exploit gaps in Israel's defenses. The reference to headquarters destroyed in Ashdod illustrates just how vulnerable even hardened facilities might be in the age of high-speed, high-tech warfare. Israel has faced existential threats since its founding in 1948, and its military doctrine reflects that reality. When attacked, Israel does not wait. Its policy is immediate retaliation, often with overwhelming force, to send a clear message. Any strike against Israeli soil will be answered swiftly. If an IDF headquarters were truly destroyed, Israel's likely response would include precision strikes against Iranian infrastructure or military sites, diplomatic pressure on Qatar, possibly through allies like the United States, mobilization of reserves, signaling readiness for broader escalation. The world has seen this before. When Israel perceives a red line has been crossed, it responds with decisive force. A strike of this magnitude would not remain a local issue. The United States would immediately be drawn into the crisis. With forces stationed in Qatar and a long-standing commitment to Israel's security, Washington would find itself in a delicate but unavoidable position. European powers and the United Nations would urgently call for de-escalation. fearing a wider war that could disrupt energy supplies and global stability. Saudi Arabia and Gulf states, already cautious of Iran, would condemn the attack, but might also seek to distance themselves from direct involvement. Meanwhile, Russia and China would watch closely, potentially using the crisis to expand their influence in the Middle East. The greatest danger in such a scenario is escalation. One strike could easily trigger a wider Israeli conflict. Hezbollah opening a northern front from Lebanon, Hamas or other groups launching attacks from Gaza, and regional alliances being tested to their limits. Within days, what began as a single strike could escalate into the largest Middle Eastern war in decades. By exploring this kind of hypothetical scenario, we gain insight into just how fragile peace in the region remains. A single attack, real or rumored, has the power to shift alliances, shake markets, and ignite conflicts that draw in powers far beyond the Middle East. The headline, "Iran and Qatar attack Israel. IDF headquarters destroyed in Ashdod," may not describe today's reality, but it serves as a reminder of the razor's edge on which the Middle East rests. Israel remains strong, but no defense is flawless. Iran continues to challenge the regional order. Qatar balances diplomacy and controversy. If such an event were ever to occur, the world would face a profound question. Would it be the beginning of a loud war, the final wake-up call to pursue lasting peace? For now, the lesson is clear. In the Middle East, every strike, every rumor, and every headline has the power to change history in an instant.